When he ordained the toleration and then the privileged elevation of the Christian Church, Constantine soon discovered that he faced a turbulent body of factional and determined bishops. The Roman state found itself having to negotiate with a parallel institutional power. When Constantine called the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, the first general council of the Christian Church, and presided personally over its sessions, he inaugurated a new model of the res publica, or republic, with the religious leaders of the people forming the synodos, or synod, that is, those who travelled to meet, from odos, meaning a journey, who acted as a clerical senate, debating under the auspices of the emperor. This model of the political community lasted, with modifications, until the very end of the Middle Ages, that is, until the summer of 1789. It is more fruitful then to consider Christianity not as the opponent and destroyer of Roman civilization, but as its culmination and completion. The great sophisticated culture of the Mediterranean embraced a set of religious ideas that had originated in an obscure heresy within Judaism. As these ideas leaped what we might call the cultural species barrier, through the agency of St. Paul, they themselves were as much changed and adapted as they worked a great change within the receiving culture. Such a two-way process is entirely natural and to be expected. The distinguishing outward features of Christianity, for example its architectural form, the basilica was a Roman law court, and its rich and extremely elaborate sculptural and pictorial representations of the divine, these features are alien to any monotheistic religion. Judaism and Islam, and some strands of fundamentalist Protestantism, are scandalized by representations of the divine. But from the earliest times, Christians had depicted themselves in religious settings, and did not shrink from depicting their God. In the earliest Christian funerary frescoes in the Roman catacombs, Jesus as God is represented as a central figure, sometimes painted wearing a simple Roman tunic with a Roman haircut. If Christianity had not melded with ancient Mediterranean culture and rejected monotheism's abhorrence of images, we would have no representational artistic tradition in this civilization. In painting and in sculpture, the natural human form is Europe's most characteristic excellence. No other civilization has matched it. Without this blending, we would have no museums and art galleries today. To gain acceptance and respectability in the ancient world, the Christian leaders had to counter the arguments of the philosophers, and to do so using the methods and standards of philosophy. This process went on for several centuries. The result was the ascendancy of the discipline of theology, which remained the supreme science or body of knowledge of our civilization until the late 17th century. The Greek philosophical outlook, vocabulary, and its dialectical method were preserved by the Christian fathers. They knew no other way of formulating their higher ideas. The content of Greek thought was to some degree negatively preserved by them also, as the object of their polemics, thereby unintentionally smuggling the long-sleeping larva of rationalist philosophy into the new Christian civilization. It is this world, then, of what has been called the Low Empire, the to us rather obscured area of the Christian Roman Empire, the era of Constantinople as I call it, which has cast such a long shadow over intervening history. In ways we can only discern the traces of, it was this civilizational metamorphosis, from Romano-Hellenic antiquity to medieval Christendom, that laid down the deep cultural foundations of the type of society and culture we experience all around us now. the Western world as it is at the beginning of the 21st century of the Christian epoch